Hello and welcome to Tech with Briley. We're going to work on our random workout generator app. We're going with Flutter. You can find the source code at the video link at the bottom of the screen here on GitHub. We have an epic issue where we're going to improve the quality of the workouts to promote balance and customization so that the users can specify what targets they would like to focus on. And we're going to also add some new exercises. So we're going to use Claude, and so far I'm not getting any warning that we're approaching our context window boundary. So what I will do is I'll give Claude the context. And to give it the data model, I'll actually drop the file in here from code, Flutter, random workout generator, random workout. We have the model is under lib models exercise.dart. So I'll just bring that here and I can just drag it in. Whoops, one file. And then essentially we can give a few examples. Let's generate 15 to 20. I believe it would be, let's find out, model. Balance exercises. And I just realized, nope, we're good to go. List. Personalization. British spelling. I think that's pretty good. Just give it a little bit of context. So we'll go to the data, balance exercises. Single leg deadlift. They shouldn't require any equipment, so we'll just clean those up myself. I'll clean them up myself. Well, a pillow. It's looking good. I'll just take the bowstring ball off because that's kind of a custom equipment. And we just need to do our imports. Then obliques is a good one. See, I was curious about that joint target spine. I mean, it is a bunch of joints. We'll go with it. And we'll just take the bowstring ball out because that's very particular. Tightrope. Yeah, you can do it. Straight line on the floor. Yeah, okay. And we have the pillow stand, which is much more common. Pillow balance. Clock reach. Okay, so there's that. So now we're going to actually... We're working on an issue. Number 5. We're going to create a branch from main. Imaginary jump rope. Okay. Jump rope might be kind of common. It's cheap, you know, and we can look into going into cheap equipment, but that would be that's like an enhancement we will look at. I have a few exercise equipment, a little bit of exercise equipment around the house, so of course, you know, people are going to have something typically. We just can't guarantee it, so we'd have to be more thoughtful in our approach to allowing people to specify the types of equipment they have, and that would open up quite a broad potential field of exercises, you know, and questions about how to organize them and state management concerns, so people could define the list of equipment and not have to do it every time they start the app or something like that. So we will add cardio exercises. And we'll do our import and see if it specified any new targets. No, it looks like we're pretty good now. And I'm noticing it's mainly doing the joint and muscle targets, which makes sense. And that was the original idea. Then I had sort of a kind of meta thing with this. I've been having some lower back pain, and I'm not sure if lower back or upper back could be perhaps joint targets, but it's also muscular, you know? That's why they kind of ended up in this weird category, special target. We'll leave it in there for now, and I can refactor that. So concern about special target enum is valid, and it's a great that you're considering how to best categorize exercises for neck, upper back, and lower back health. These areas are indeed complex and involve multiple structures, including muscles, joints, and connective tissues. Here's a suggestion how we might approach this. Keep the special target enum, but rename it to focus area. Well, that's opening up a can of worms. But yeah, core, full body, upper body, arms. That's true. That's true. But that's I think what we're going to do. Muscle targets and joint targets are very specific. Focus areas are more broad regional areas. Okay. So we got chest, back, arms, legs, core. It's leg day. Do you do upper legs, upper arms, lower arms? How you spell therapist? T-H-E-R-A-P-I-S-T. So we'll try to have it take on a roll. Holy, now, see now we've got overlap. Cardio and respiratory, oh geez. I asked for, I got it. Forearms, wrists, hips, glutes, quads. So we want to avoid a bit of overlap. It can be confusing, and it's not black or white, I can see. So focus our upper body, lower body, core, full body posture. Interesting. Balance, yeah, okay. Well, that's the category. Anyway, flexibility. Cardiorespiratory, functional strength, power and explosiveness, stability and control, recovery, mobility and range of motion. So now these are kind of overlapping with the categories of exercises, but we're getting it. We're getting there. So the focus area is a bit of an ambiguous phrase. By focus area, I'm thinking anatomically. And these are a bit meta. I'm not an expert in this. Recovery is not part of your anatomy, though. It's like a process you go through. Mobility and range of motion isn't like a particular part of your anatomy. Wow. I don't know. This is now cool, but what? It sounds right, but man. Wow. Holy macaroni. That's, well, this is no, because that's like front or back or something like that. Good grief. We're getting there. All right. Let's refine the focus area enum to strictly represent regional anatomical parts of the body and adjust the exercise category enum to include the functional aspects we discussed. Here's the revised version. Head, neck, shoulders, chest, up. It's like head, shoulders, knees and toes. Kind of mixing those up, but anyway. Head, neck, shoulders, chest, upper back, lower back, arms, forearms, wrists. Getting towards the joint level, but okay. Hands, core, hips, glutes, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, feet, upper body, lower body, full body. Yeah, that's some compound exercise. If there's a singular exercise that does your full body, makes me like plank. Yeah, I don't know. This is really a learning process. This is cool though. All right, so now we got our focus area. So that's our special target going out. This is going to break. Focus area is going to break our model. And it's going to, it won't invalidate our data. It's optional and we don't have this. So I think our app should still run. Plyometrics posture. Now we just got to kind of, choose. Because the problem when we have all these is they appear on the front page. And now we need to update. I'm out of messages. Okay, so till 3 p.m. We need to update this special target to be now. I'll use extends. Let's see if we can use GPT. Yes, I was hoping it would have the exhaustive. Muscle target obliques. Yeah, because we added a bunch, didn't we? This is great. It might be getting way too specific. But one of the functions of this app is to be educational. It's supposed to like teach us not only probably exercises, but a bit about our anatomy, functional and musculoskeletal anatomy. So now we're gonna make sure this is exhaustive. Whoops. And we won't add a default. That way I'll get this alert. We're not exhaustive. This is such great tooling. Yeah, and I think what we'll need, probably this is begging the question at this point of what are all these things? What are all these parts of my body? And maybe it would be good to have a little lesson built in or a reference section in the app. This is pretty cool already. But okay, I think this kind of concludes this session. We've got we're out of messages for Claude, but I'm just thinking actually if I go to the, let's see what's red here, what's going on here. I commit these changes. Muscle hip isn't really a muscle target. It's a joint target, so that's in joint target already. But we can probably use GPT here. Let's commit these changes. This is a big one. And then we're going to go through now and use GPT. Oh. And there is overlap. I mean, because our whole body is joints and muscles all. So yeah, I got to understand the anatomy better to do a good job. For some reason, hips. Our hips muscles. All right then. It makes sense. It makes sense, you know. Neck muscles. Cervical spine. And what I think I'll do, see if I can speed this up a little bit. With the magic wand. Working through. Got some red text. That's just the diff, the red, green, and the diff, I think. Oh, responsible AI. I can't talk about anatomy. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, trying to make these things responsible. I get it. But it's like, come on. Yeah, what's up? What's up, Thick Stick? Yeah, it is limiting, isn't it? And these models are really powerful, and you know you could use an uncensored model, for example, from Hugging Face or something. But yeah. Hey, thanks for the follow, Thick Stick. I appreciate it. So yeah, this is also getting again. bit overlap here. I need to really work on this with somebody who's familiar with anatomy and physical therapy to make sure these categories make sense. Generative AI is pretty good at it, more, better than me, but I just need to move forward and think about the usability too, because now abdominals definitely, but that's core. We have core, but abdominals is more proper. And core actually is more, we would need lower back then, because core kind of is your whole core. It's your lower back, your abdominals, whatever these are on the side. I forget the name of them. Yeah, obliques, I guess. It is certainly a learning process. Hugging face gives you the general idea. Yeah, okay. Which Hugging Face models do you typically use? Do you recommend any? Okay, check it out. There's a ton of them, and I just can't really keep up. Llama 3 is pretty good. 3.1, I was running that locally, the 8 billion locally, but it's not really even in the ballpark of what I'm getting from, Copilot or GPT or Claude, and I'm needing that kind of level. So I would have to look at the Llama 3, 405 billion or something. Hey, Blaze Labs, what's up? What do I expect to learn from this project? Good question. 1, how to create Flutter apps. 2, how to use generative AI to create software from start to finish. This whole project has been generated by generative AI with me sort of like steering it a little bit. 3, I want to learn how to take care of my body, work out, exercise, anatomy. 4, I want to learn to collaborate because I'm working with a friend on this project. It was her idea basically, and she's doing like the user experience design aspect, and I'm jumping into the code so we can kind of iterate faster. I think those are the main learnings. It's quite a lot to learn. You learn at different layers and levels. Yeah, OpenAI is really good, but oh man, Claude 3.5 I think has become my new favorite. In fact, I would seriously consider canceling my OpenAI subscription if Claude had Whisper, if I could talk to Claude. I literally just used OpenAI earlier just so I could talk my prompt, so I could speak my prompt. Oh, you haven't used it yet? Seriously, it is really good. And they're iterating on kind of different features. OpenAI is going for more like big bang features, like glamorous, really interesting things like natural language conversational interfaces, which I think is really crucial for widespread adoption. Not only just being able to type in natural language, but speak and hear the response in natural language. I think that's a really profound application. And multimodality is really important too for people who are visually impaired, for example, to be able to have the model narrate their surroundings. So that's really cool. Oh, and Claude's going in not that same direction, but they're mainly focused on, I think, some practical things as well. Like artifacts is a really good one, where a lot of our output is like, blobs of code or documents in the context of a chat, a discussion, and you usually just want the actual document and not the discussion parts of it. So Anthropic have realized that, and they created a natural paradigm called artifact, where it separates the conversation from the what you're working on part. And this aligns with just how we work, right? We work, we discuss, we collaborate, and then we create an artifact. At the end of the day, it's like a software or code or a document, a spreadsheet, whatever it is. So that's cool. And then the other thing is this project where you can actually use like retrieval augmented generation. You can upload some documents, some supporting documents, and have it, generate bespoke content based on like really specific stuff that, may or may not be even in the public data. This is a bunch of documentation from the Flutter project, since I'm working on a Flutter app. So I just uploaded some key documentation there, because sometimes the training takes place at a point in time, with software kind of continuously moving, it can get outdated. So I just updated the latest docs, in particular aspects like accessibility and animation and Material 3, which I'm using directly in this application. I want to make sure we get those right, testing. The only problem is the features aren't cohesive. So it's like I can use artifacts if I start a regular chat, but if I'm in a project chat, I can't use artifacts. So that's kind of unfortunate. But I really think in the output of Claude, it has literally written this whole project for me on like such a high level of competence. It's astounding, and has made this really possible. The interpreter, like in Claude, so I don't think it does code interpreting. That's one of the things that GPT can run code. Claude, I don't believe has, and it mentions that too. I think what it says somewhere when you start the chat or whatever, it can't run its output. Particularly, I'm running Dart code here, writing Dart code here. So if that's what you mean by the interpreter, there isn't one. But even without an interpreter, I've had very few syntax errors or other weird hallucinations. It's been just spot on. And, I'm a little bit familiar with Flutter and software development, that I can kind of catch some stuff. So you, of course, still need to kind of have some experience, I think, to use these tools and steer them. But I've been really able to step back and kind of think at the meta level of like, what am I trying to achieve? What are the features? Why Flutter over Kotlin multi-platform? I think maturity is one, and Flutter also has, the widgets, the Material 3 widgets that are just, I think, really they accelerate development. I don't want to have to think about really that level of detail when I'm building prototype apps. I really like the Dart language though. I haven't really worked much with Kotlin. I'm sure it looks like a nice language. We use that at work on some services. Some backend services are using Kotlin. But they're using actually more Flutter at work, where I work for some of the mobile, from the app projects. We're using like a mixture of React, I think React Native, React for web stuff, maybe React Native, but Flutter. And so I'm thinking, well, this could be useful at work if I'm more Flutter and Dart. And I just really enjoy working with Flutter and Dart. The ecosystem, the tooling, the language is really great experience. The ecosystem's a bit feeling like it's a bit nascent, and I'm getting JavaScript vibes in terms of like, is this package maintained? Is it documented? I got all these alternatives to choose between for the same kind of architectural pattern, like state management or something like that. So yeah, nothing's perfect, but I'm coming from a background of JavaScript and Python primarily, and this just, I think, fits a really nice, it's a really nice middle ground with like great typing support, like static typing and null safety. The syntax is very similar to both of those languages, so it's easy to learn. Yeah, that's a long way of saying, yeah, why I'm running with Flutter. But I have nothing against Kotlin though. I just think Kotlin multi-platform is too immature at this point from my perspective of developing prototype apps. I want to get something shipped and not have to worry about defining my own widgets. And it's like React. If I were to pick React, I would have to make basic decisions like what kind of router am I going to use, what kind of testing framework am I going to use, what kind of widgets, user interface components am I going to use, like what library for styling, and all of those decisions are just made for me with Flutter. It's just behind me. I'm right into making my app. That is a killer feature right there. I just start with a really rich and pretty well tested user experience. Community, yeah, great one. I learned more about the Dart language and how it's evolving. Okay, so let's kind of continue this. I gotta kind of use this one because Copilot doesn't like talking about anatomy on a multiple line scale. It does it on single lines fine. issue with Flutter is that a lot of the people chose it for the same reason, prototyping, but later on this issue of scaling. You know, I don't know. I think we have as an industry, we have way too much emphasis on scalability. And I think I've seen projects in the JavaScript ecosystem get torn apart because people were really concerned about scalability. And I don't think scalability is like a single thing. Issues of scale are unique to each project. There's common issues, and it's usually something around the infrastructure or database layer. But in terms of scalability of like a development process, I think well-organized code, well-architected code, well, that helps your project scale. If we're talking about scalability in terms of like animations or some kind of heavy loaded on the CPU or GPU for rendering, or maybe I'm not sure what scalability means, and so or what scaling issues are, but I don't think it's particular to Flutter, to be honest, or any language. Scaling is a thing that's unique to your project and organization, the way you organize, the way your team and company are organized. Those are your scaling factors. It's not about language typically. I don't know. I just think the emphasis on scalability in the catchphrase at scale is like kind of detrimental, and it causes a lot of bad decisions in terms of software architecture, particularly for relatively small projects, which is like 80 to 90% of projects. Don't need to really even talk about that. And you need to talk about scalability and scaling when it becomes a problem, not upfront. Let's see. Okay, cool. I should try out Kotlin. Kotlin. I've heard, good things about it. I was watching, they had a recent developer conference, didn't they? I was watching some of the videos there. And I do like the idea. I think it's a great idea. This one code base. And so server, and then Flutter is also targeting embedded, which is kind of cool too. And what would the compose multi-platform for the UI? So is that including some kind of component library, or how do you do your components in that? Yeah, true. Yeah, and typically you'll have figured out so many things by then. You'll just be in the habit of figuring stuff out, and you'll be able to figure out your scaling problems. And it's probably going to be something around your database. Call it multi-platform for Android. WASM. This is cool, and I like how the WASM target's becoming more common now. This is great. Kotlin native. So it does have sort of embedded support. Nice. Yeah, so you got like, you can bring in call libraries. Yeah, true, and that is one of the shortcomings that I keep hearing about Flutter. It's not using the native widgets, for example. They have their own rendering engine, and they're swapping out their rendering engine now from Skia to Impeller, and for various reasons. And this is one of the things I've had concern with over React, is that when the React ecosystem kind of emerged, it abstracted away from HTML and CSS and put those in JavaScript, and in a way we lost a lot of the usability things that are already baked into the browser sometimes when reinventing some of these widgets. And as a developer, a solo developer, your concern isn't about having comprehensive accessibility and things like that, but as a platform developer, like the web platform or iOS or Android as a platform, they have resources and have focused effort on improving those aspects that we're just oblivious to in a lot of cases. And Flutter's kind of doing that same thing. You'll have, just since it's not using the native widgets, they have to reinvent those, and accessibility suffers. But I have seen in their favor, there's been a focus particularly on accessibility. And maybe Kotlin's, I don't know much about the architecture, but native programming languages, so foreign function interface or something like that. Yeah, we can check it out. Maybe we'll make a small app on with Kotlin native on this. I have an idea for another app. Let's see. Hey, what's up, RL Code? Welcome. To use Claude, for which type of tasks? That's the thing. Great question, because I'm figuring out what type of tasks Claude and ChatGPT are good at, and I've used Claude for writing pretty much all of the code, 90% of the code, maybe 95. I've had to make some adjustments, when it hallucinates or enum. Finding it's also really good at documentation, so including generating the README, helping me work on project management. So I created this epic with Claude. I just kind of spoke out loud into Whisper, OpenAI Whisper, and then Claude helped me generate an epic and then subtasks for that epic with acceptance criteria, just so I can have like a roadmap for this feature I'm implementing right now to improve the user experience in terms of having balanced exercise suggestions, as well as removing duplicates and controlling, which, by the way, I can just show you the app. It should be running. I'm in a state of flux right now, so it might not run. Yeah, actually it's broken right now, but it's actually running here online if you just want to check it out. The last pull request I made, let's see, RL, you're on YouTube, I can send a message to Twitch. But here's the live app, the latest. And then RL, I'll just send this over on YouTube chat. But yeah, what kind of use cases have you found for Claude or GPT, ChatGPT? I'm glad to learn, because there's certain things it's not really good at. But in terms of the code output I've gotten from Claude, it's been exceptional. I think GPT has had really exceptional periods, and then it got nerfed a little bit, and then 4.0 kind of came along and it was really doing pretty good, but it's just not on the level of Claude when writing software. So let's see if I go, how do I view my live dashboard? Here it is. How do I get to the chats? Here it is. There you go. Here's the chat if you just want to check it out, and the source code's on GitHub. If you want to fork it or come up with your own kind of derivative idea, pull requests are welcome. I don't have any items in the backlog right now. Monetizing the tool, yeah. In fairness, they got to make some way of making some money. They're spending so much crazy money on training, and the GPU and server resources are nuts. The amount of money being put into the generative AI ecosystem right now is astronomical. Let's see, let me catch back up on the chat real quick. Oh, okay, this exercise thing is great, cool concept, thanks. That's like an interesting hack. So not telling it what to do, but getting it to think for itself. And that's really actually what my experience with Claude has been sometimes. I'll sort of tell it what I'd like to have happen, what my goal is or something. And it'll generate like some code, and it'll actually generate details in the code that I didn't even think of or anticipate, like little usability tweaks and stuff. I don't tell it how or what the user interface should be like. It's surprising. Yeah, so that's a really good idea, Blaze Labs. Okay, so now I do need to get this code out of the red. We got a bunch of breaking changes I just introduced. And this is no longer here. This is now called Gotta get myself together here. Exercise category. No. Sorry. Focus area. Oh yeah. Name parameter. Okay, Harry, thanks for stopping by. Thick Stick. Nice to meet you. Hopefully see you around. Yeah, so basically that's one typo there. Yeah, let's go ahead and share your GitHubs too, and I'd like to check out what you're working on. I'll leave core as a muscle target. And then, we're gonna have to really take a look at the user experience. Now that I've got all these categories, it's gonna explode. The user interface is gonna explode. So those are exhaustive now. All right, any place else in the code, any other files? Exercise list, of course, needs to be fixed. And this is exercise dot focus areas. There we go, and then test models, exercise test now. My tests are probably going to break because of this, but that's why I've written them. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. So we're working on mobility exercises now? Yes. Just getting these labels focus area. Really? Quadriceps. I think we have quads instead of quadriceps. Again, I'm going to have somebody help with review on this. Quads, yeah. So we probably don't need both quads and quadriceps. Yeah. Focus areas, joint targets. Come on. I'm just kind of blazing through this. I'm not really focused on validity. I just want to be careful to make sure I get all three of these annotations in there. But now, you know, I can view the UI and we'll see it will have exploded with a bunch of these labels. So I'm thinking in the back of my mind, you know, how am I going to get this reviewed from a validity standpoint? I'm putting out some stuff that could be dangerous, incorrect. You know, it's an open source app, so I've got this liability thing. So it's like use at your own risk type thing, but it doesn't mean I want to just, you know, I'd like to be careful with what we're sharing. All right, so we got a little bit of that. And essentially, I think a lot of these are quads. So if I do .quads, then we're good to go. Same thing here. Fix all those. All right. 2 more categories, but then I added a bunch of categories. One easy fix is just to filter the categories. All right, but let's finish this. So focus area. Full body burpees. Oh yeah. Just kind of trying to blaze through it. I'm actually doing 2 issues with this same ticket. I'm adding new balance and cardio exercises as well as annotating existing ones. So close 2 issues with 1 pull request. I don't really have a peer reviewer even for the code. So in a way, the meta knowledge that's embedded in these large language models is my peer review. But I will be intentional to find a way of getting these exercises reviewed by somebody knowledgeable in anatomy and physical therapy, perhaps, or at least sports medicine or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to look into it. Might cost a little bit of money for their time, but it's worth it. Yeah, come on. Hamstrings. Hamstrings aren't in there. Ham. I like ham. Not really. What are hamstrings? Okay. There you go. Now the focus area is not exhausted, so I'm going to put the label in there. I'd like to just keep sorted because these are all funny. alphabetical sorting. Hamstring. Or not alphabetical, just the order I put them in. So we'll do target, muscle, targets. No, dang it. Yeah. That's right. Focus area is not hamstring. Lower body. Okay, let me see. I'm missing some chats. Is there a VS Code extension equivalent to Claude like Copilot? Yes. For Claude like Copilot. Yes, it's I have seen that. I don't know, I'm not using it. But moreover, there's like a meta development workflow that you use Claude that is sort of like the way I'm working essentially. I don't remember the name of it, darn it. Let me see if I can find that. But basically you kind of step back and it's using it's like agentic programming, and it writes the code, and maybe it uses VS Code, but you peer review it in a chat and you approve the changes. I'm going to start experimenting with that. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Yeah, they're getting pretty dang powerful, and if it's using Claude, I would have more confidence based on my experience directly using Claude in a copy and paste context. Find this. I was watching, I'm just kind of watching a bunch of YouTube videos on this kind of stuff, trying to stay up to date. Where's my history? Do you use any like lower level programming languages like Zig or Go? Or I mean, Kotlin's kind of in the middle. I think Kotlin's sort of like Dart, where it's kind of positioned in an interesting way, not quite systems level, but everything above that, like server and client level. I'll have to check with the VS Code extension, but Chat IDE might be one, but I don't really kind of know if I trust a lot of these extensions. Maybe it was a Cody. I think it was this one. Yeah, because this the cool thing is it had really deep contextual knowledge about your software. Like it vectorizes it or embeds it, and it's just, this was the one. This is a Cody right here. AI coding assistant by SourceGraph. It's crazy. The video release, it was really effective, and making basic more than Hello World app, a little bit beyond Hello World. I'm really just surprised at how far I've been able to take Claude in the conversational context, and refining my conversation, and of course creating this project with some files and pasting in certain bits of my code to give it the context. It has worked really good. I can deal with this workflow. It's not too bad, but Cody looks like it really just, it integrates directly in your IDE. So like it has, and another workflow is Copilot workspaces, which was interesting, but the user flow, the experience, everything GitHub does, the user experience is usually like, it's odd. It just has weird annoyances, and this Copilot workspace was no different in that sense, but it was pretty cool. I've opened pull requests with it. You basically have a project on GitHub that has some code, even just a README file, and you say, I need to scaffold a Django app, or I need to scaffold a Kotlin, native app, or you got an existing project like that has like a calendar widget or whatever it would be, Pomodoro timer, and you say, okay, let's add a feature to our Pomodoro app where instead of a tomato, we have a spinning cucumber, and you just define this as a GitHub issue, and you can say open in code spaces. So actually I could show you probably here, balanced workout generation algorithm right here. Is maybe not open in workspace. See the Copilot right there. Preview. So it looks at the issue title. Does the algorithm generate balanced workouts with no duplicated exercises and maintain a variety based on user selected targets? Nope, the algorithm does not generate. Generate workout method generates a workout with potential duplicate exercises and does not ensure blah, blah, blah. So it looks through your code, vectorize, no logic to prevent duplicates. Contains all exercises and lacks a scoring system for balanced distribution. Huh, that's interesting. And it comes up with some specification and a proposal, and you say generate the plan. I'm not gonna probably go through this because I'm gonna finish what I'm doing here. But it actually then, you can say it says here's the plan, here's what I'm gonna do. Scoring system. Sometimes, like you mentioned earlier, you let the generative AI kind of suggest things for you that you maybe didn't anticipate. I'll see what it means by this scoring system. I'll do the tests. So this is cool too. And then I'll say implement, and it starts working on it. This is crazy. As a software engineer, it's a bit worrying, but I really still think you have to have some understanding of, firstly, the programming language, the framework, and then the meta levels are becoming more important. You have to have some good writing and communication skills, which I think a lot of times software engineers really devalue. Writing and communication, like documentation, issue triage, backlog grooming, all that kind of stuff. I struggle. We've been struggling. I'm not trying to disparage anybody, but yeah, it's just been a struggle to get those types of activities in process. We're improving that at work, but anyway, nonetheless, it's not a bad situation. But yeah, we think code is the champion, but really no, it's about people and what we're trying to achieve. And communication is like a key to communicate to other developers. And it happens that communication is also the way these large language models are working. That's the interface, the natural language interface. So it is a crucial skill, I think, going forward. So yeah, I've got some code generated. We'll leave this alone for now. But it's quite interesting. Balance score, I guess, is what it's saying. Exercise scoring. Interesting. So so it's scoring exercises based on the number of targets. So in a way, it's encouraging more compound exercises. All right, that's quite curious. That's interesting. I could probably go with that. Now, not all people don't always want to do compound exercises. Depends if you're doing like strength training or trying to build muscle mass or just work on mobility. There's probably different factors there. So the scoring it's essentially a value that we're assigning to these exercises. It would be a bit more nuanced than that. All right, so let's come back to this though. I'll leave that up. But now you kind of get the idea. If possible, I would recommend working with GitHub Copilot Workspace. It's in preview, so I don't remember if I signed up for that a while back or what. Or check out this Cody. And I'll be working with that on another project or another pull request in this project, but you can use basically Cody Pro, can use Claude, Opus. Maybe it was a different one. Let me just look at my YouTube. A bit of a digression, but let me find this because it's a good question. Eider was one of them. This is actually the one I was thinking of. This one right here. Although it's like really tailored to Python, from the demo at least, might work with Flutter. I'd like to try it on Flutter. Yeah, let me get a cup of tea. I'll be right back. But it's not a VS Code extension like you were asking, Blaze. It's like more of like a terminal-based, Python terminal-based thing. But it does use Anthropic if you want. Claude 3.5. There we go. Whoops. And I got a call coming in. Hey, I got to hop off and take this call. But I'll try to stream again tomorrow. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing well and have a great day.